Good morning. Good morning. Hi, my name is David Theus, and welcome to another episode of the Saturday Morning Coaching Call, brought to you by the Small Business Patriot and Northeast Florida Business Alliance. This is episode number 18. If you're watching us on YouTube today, please like and follow along and subscribe. Be sure to share with a fellow small business owner or a friend if you like the information. If you don't. If you're listening to us on Spotify, please do the same, like and share, and drop a comment if you'd like to, if you find this to be beneficial today. And share with a friend, like I said, and a colleague or fellow small business person in your community. Again, my name is David Theus, and I'm joined today with my co-host, Peggy Lynch of 21K Promotions. I almost said Solutions, Peggy. 21K Promotions, and she's over in St. Augustine, Florida, which is in St. Johns County. And I'm coming to you from Fleming Island, Florida, which is in Clay County, Florida. So the magic of technology has brought us two together on a Saturday morning, no less. And we start this thing about 9 o'clock in the morning. So our real time this morning is 9:17. Today is Saturday, May 21. And we are joined together this morning to improve our business, to be more successful, be more efficient, more profitable. And then hopefully the things that we discuss today will help others do the same. And so our format is basically Peggy and I both get together, me as a 30+ year veteran small business person and coach, and Peggy has equally been in the business as long as I have, and she brings her own set of expertise and experiences in the field. And she brings a question or a discussion for the week. And I'd like to open it up and make sure everybody understands as we move forward. We are part of an organization called Northeast Florida Business Alliance, and our members will be able to be a part of this program as well. So they'll be able to come on and share a little bit about who they are and their company and get a little bit of a promotional piece that becomes a hard link or a hot link that they can share into their content marketing if they so desire, and also do some peer advisement. So it's pretty cool. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. We get to kind of sponge off each other a little bit, garner some information, and hopefully this is beneficial to those who might be watching or listening. So having said that mouthful, Peggy Lynch, tell us about who you are and a little bit about 21K Promotions, and then we'll jump into the program.
Okay, very good. Yeah, 21K Promotions. So as a branding specialist, I provide solutions for your marketing plans using promotional products. And the purposes could be for upcoming trade shows, mailers, client gifts, employee recognition, safety programs, etc. So there's many, many purposes for promotional products. And David, you wanted one of my stories. So speaking of safety programs, I had a client recently that they're a mining company in Florida. I won't name names, and they have a lot of employees in what they call the yard, and they're driving company vehicles of different sorts, and they are trying to encourage these employees to buckle up while they're out there, just as though they were out on the road. So we found a clever little key tag, and it's a bendable yellow key tag, and it looks like a safety belt, and it just says buckle up and then the company name underneath it. So, and it's bright yellow. So all these employees are going to have this on their key ring when they get in their cars and start, and it's going to remind them to buckle up. So that's part of the safety program.
So not only marketing and promoting the company, but obviously a collateral piece in the furthering of a safety measure that they're trying to encourage with their employees, or yeah, that's cool. Anything that you can to implement that's tangible and tactile and people can see it, that's always a way to remind them of the message. So awesome. Okay. Well, in keeping with our theme here, what we like to do, I know now we cheated a little bit last night. I think Peggy sent me an email last night to kind of prime the pump. So I've been giving it some thought, but we're going to, just to kind of transparency for the episode today, we're going to talk about the topic that Peggy's going to give us in just a moment. And then I'd like to take maybe the last third of the episode to share with you a little bit more detail about Northeast Florida Business Alliance and how we may be able to serve you as a small business person or professional who resides in Clay, Duval, or St. Johns County, Florida. And so we've actually taken Promote Clay is the original program we started this with here in Clay County, and we're about 4.5 years old. And so it's been kind of a beta experience for us. For 4.5 years, we've been in a beta test run, and it's given me a chance to kind of iron out the kinks, find out what works and what doesn't. And we're going to take that model and expand to not only Clay County, but Duval County, where Jacksonville is located, and then to our east to St. Johns County, all the way over to the beach where St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, and unincorporated St. John's is located. And so we're going to expand our model. I think those 3 counties make up close to 1 million people, believe it or not. I think Duval is about 750,000 people now. We'll probably be, most of our emphasis will be somewhat on what I call the near west side of Jacksonville. So if you take the St. Johns River and take that from west of the St. Johns River, that's probably about 500,000 people or so. And then Clay County is 250,000, and St. Johns County is every bit 250, 300,000. So we're probably close to 1 million people by incorporating all 3 counties. Whereas in Clay County is the test site, if you will, the beta site, we've been running about 215, 220,000 people. So I'm excited about the expansion that's coming up. We'll talk about that in the last third of the show, but if you'll go ahead and Peggy and give me the kind of topic for today, and then let's get started.
Alrighty. So this is regarding how you take and make payments, for your small business. Are you using PayPal, ACH, credit card, merchant account, Venmo, Square, and I don't know how many others there are, but there are quite a few available. So which platform would make sense?
Okay, so you threw out PayPal, ACH, credit card, Venmo,
Square,
a
regular merchant account.
Yeah. Payment, take, and give. Okay. Well, let's see if I can do this in the normal Dave Theus fashion. It's interesting as a small business owner and large business as well. We talk about these topics in the last couple episodes, and everything is really technology driven, even from the conversation we had about lead generation and lead list and that sort of stuff. It's the simplistic answer is everything's driven by technology. So wherever technology goes, so goes the movement of the company. It's interesting. I've been watching since Elon Musk is in the news lately, and of course with SpaceX and Tesla, his beginning, he's really an inventor and an innovator more so than a business person. And I was talking with a friend about this just the other day. He started what we know today as PayPal, and he wanted to look at a way. He had 2 things. He wanted to, this is a total Dave sidebar, but let's set the stage. He wanted to, his initial premise was to have a internet-based solution in about 1994, where you could have a conglomeration of all your financial services. So everything from banking to investing to paying bills, whatever. And he wanted to have this one centralized internet focus. And then the second part of that model was he was trying to develop a system where you could pay your bills and accept money via email. And so he jokingly says every time we would go to a potential investor or a group that might be interested in this, we would show them the conglomeration piece of financial services, which technically from a code writing and all that stuff was very difficult to implement. And nobody was really interested in that. But as soon as he showed them the email capability of paying bills and receiving cash, suddenly everybody was, oh yeah, we're interested in that. And that was the easier of the 2 things to implement from a coding and back office support computer wise. And so from a small business person that he was at the time, He listened to his customers, which is first and foremost, we talk about all the time. He listened to his potential customers and said, okay, what is it you want? What service do you want? I've got these great ideas, which a lot of us small business people start off with, these great ideas. And if we're not careful, we don't listen to our customers, we'll drive down that road, and nobody wants what we're peddling, And so he listened and said, okay, they want the email thing to pay their bills, then let's spend all of our efforts on doing that. So he developed this thing that we now know as PayPal. And of course, someone over at the PayPal folks did a future value of a present value, a future value cash stream, payment stream, and made a calculation, and they offered him a price of billions of dollars for this thing because they knew that this was going to be a great success, and they'd be able to make a service charge, a fee off of every transaction. And once 330 million people in the United States and all over the world, because it's internet based, would be able to access this thing, it becomes pretty quickly apparent at 3.5% plus 35 cents per transaction. You can do the math, and it would be quite a large sum of money that they could offer him for this service to purchase it, and then they could make their money back in no time. So then of course Elon sells it, and then he goes back to what he does best and his innovation and inventor, and starts Tesla and SpaceX. So he's really not a business person. It was interesting to see some of these. He's really a R&D department. He's a one-man R&D department. So anyway, to the point, technology is the point I was trying to make, that the business seems to move as the furtherance of technology makes our lives somewhat more convenient, then that's what we tend to move toward. Now, in the financial services business, we have a saying that everybody gets a haircut, meaning that you don't do stuff for free. There's no free lunch. Somebody's going to have to get a piece of the action every time you move money. Either you charge a fee on a percentage basis, or you charge a fee, an actual fee to do something. And so in this realm, in this space of payments and receiving and giving, there's a haircut. And so I know, for example, I use PayPal and Venmo. Well, before I get into those weeds, let's talk about the application from a business standpoint. Small businesses and large businesses need cash flow, and cash flow is critical. It's the gas that keeps the business running. And so, as we talked about in an earlier discussion, terms where you would get an invoice and someone would say, you owe me this much money in 30 days. Well, 30 days is a long time to wait for money. 30 days can be a game changer in a company that's got to meet payroll every week. It's got to pay the utility. Everyone else wants their money every week or every month. And you're going to wait for a customer that hopefully pays you in 30 days and maybe pays late. And so anytime we can streamline or shorten that distance between the customer, receiving our goods and services and then paying us, that seems like a good idea. And so even in the old days of invoicing, remember 210 net 30, you owe me X in 30 days, but if you'll pay me and within 10 days, Mr. Customer, I'll give you 2% discount. So that whole mindset of cash is king, we need money today, not tomorrow, that is the driving force behind the success of these platforms, because now you can take what used to be held only by merchants and large retailers and large companies, that the services that we're talking about, they're now able to break them down and give them to people like you and I that are small business people at a, I would say, affordable, equitable rate. So, but everything has a haircut. And so ultimately, if I could get my money and not have to pay somebody to get it, I would want that, right? Is that a fair assessment? If I didn't have any charge or any haircut or any ride along that goes along with my transaction and get my money free and clear of any cost, I would take that all day long. But just like we talked about just a moment ago, in the invoice days when people are writing checks and paying cash, I'm willing to give up 2 points if they pay me in 10 days. So what the computer, the technology side of this has done is they've taken that same philosophy and said, well, what if I could get it to you instantaneously? what would you be willing to pay if as soon as you dropped an invoice via email to your customer, all they had to do was click a button and either have a card on file or, enter a card, which would take less than 3 minutes to do. And then as soon as the payment is satisfied, it's in your account instantaneously. What would that be worth?
Nice.
What would that be worth to you? Would that be worth something if you could have that happen?
Oh my gosh, an awful lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then the next question is, how much is it worth to you? And so I'm one of these guys that breaks down every element. At first, when I got into this space, I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not paying PayPal 3.5% and or 2.79, whatever it is, and then 35%, 35 cents per transaction. And of course, the bigger the transactions, the more transaction, there's a sliding scale on a percentage basis. Basically, you have a merchant account. They've made the merchant account available to us small business owners on a more scalable level. So let's go back prehistoric days to invoicing for a moment. And I've now got to produce a physical piece of paper in the form of an invoice. I've got to print it off, take the time to key it, put it in, then print it off, then find myself an envelope, maybe one of those fancy window envelopes, fold it, stuff it in the envelope, take it to the post office, put postage on it, which is now 55 cents for a first class mail, and then drop it in the mailbox, which may take 3 to 5 days, depending on where the place is, 3 to 5 days to get there. And then assuming that their accounts payable person receives the mail from the mailroom and gets it to the proper department, it's going to take at least 3 to 5 days and potentially 30 days total. That's where that 30-day, due in 30 days comes from, because the time process from the time it leaves my office goes via mail to their office, gets routed to the right department, finally someone who can write the check and turn it around, they drop it in the mail, and it's 3 to 5 business days back to me before I can get it in the bank. Then I get the check, get in my car, and go to the bank and deposit it. Well, if I could cut a few of those steps out, I'd be willing to do that. What we fail to do in that time frame that we think everything's for free by doing that is time and gas. And so now gas we're moving closer to $5 a gallon. As a small business person, let's put a price tag on every step that we take along the way. I mean, we could be talking about, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks just to process a payment that could be 30 bucks to 3,000. I mean, hopefully if it's a receivable that's 3,000 and I'm paying 30 bucks to get 3,000, that's a better rate as far as cost, but I'm still waiting the time. You know what I mean? So that's highly inefficient to do it that way. So the next plan that comes along is PayPal, Venmo, ACH, credit card, and Square. How much of a haircut are you willing to pay? How much of a cost are you willing to pay to get your money instantaneously? That's the question. The platforms are all about the same. We're in a competitive marketplace now where PayPal is not the only player. Although PayPal and Venmo, if you're not aware of this, they're brothers and sisters. Yeah, it's the same company. And as we move further into this space, these companies, we're going to see some more consolidation, which doesn't scare me, but it bothers me, because I guess legally or policy-wise, Venmo was not a business platform. Venmo is an opportunity for roommates to share cost of, if you and I shared an apartment together, I could Venmo you money for utilities or for food or whatever. Or if I'm in college, my parents could, send me money via Venmo for college. It was never designed to be a business platform, but we all know cottage industry folks that are really small business, side hustle types, they'll take Venmo because maybe their customer has a Venmo account because their kids and their, I've seen husband and wives, instead of me going to my wife's pocketbook or my wife coming to my pocketbook and, hey, do you got a 20? I need to get lunch today with some people. It's a Venmo transaction. Now, the good news is Venmo amongst friends can be free. The cost of that haircut can be free. And then each one of us, I'm sure we're all familiar with this. There's a delay process, meaning if you're willing to wait 3 days and transfer the money, it doesn't cost you anything. But if you need the money today, like now, there's a haircut that goes with it. So they're feeding off our anxiety of the urgency that we need the money. And the sad thing is, when you're when you're in dire straits and you need the money, you need all of the money probably. And so you don't need to have someone come along and take 3-4% of it. That's kind of counterintuitive. So then you end up grossing up the amount. So I need $100 like now. Well, they're going to take $5 out of it. Well, then make it $110. You see what I'm saying? So everything keeps escalating up. And that's the downside trade-off, I think. All right. Any thoughts before I've kind of set the table again, like I normally do, but we're going to come back. I've got some more to say about it, but what are your thoughts on this transition?
Yeah. So as far as the timing, to, receive the money and depending on whether you have it deposited that day and pay that additional fee, or you wait 3 days or whatever the case, it is there. The value there is that it would keep me in good standing with my creditors, my vendors. And sometimes you have to bite the bullet and go ahead and pay that fee in order to maintain, again, credibility.
Yeah, the challenge is, as a person in what I call a financial advisory role, I was what they call a registered rep, so not an advisor by American College standpoint. The challenge is that we're all set up with the proper amount of emergency savings. The hardest thing to do is get people to save and buy life insurance and all the things that we're supposed to do to build a foundation for our financial future. But if you can get to a place where you've got your emergency savings set up, and so when that does happen, you're not tapping into another source of funds, and then run your business in an appropriate manner so they can cover your bills and pay your bills on time. You're not robbing, Peter to pay Paul kind of scenario. Then things will run smoother. But none of us, for the most part, we're not all there. We're not all in that space. Maybe, hopefully, that's our goal to achieve that, but we're not there. So we have some time where we have to react accordingly. And so I use PayPal because it now offers an invoicing feature where I can actually invoice. It's seamless. Part of the equation that makes sense for me is from an accounting standpoint. For tax purposes, it does a nice job of capturing all my annual activity. I can break it down by the month and see my sales. I can break it down by the quarter. It creates somewhat of a CRM, a customer. I can keep up with people and see who my customers are. There's some pretty cool analytical reports I can run from it. And so all those features, those bells and whistles that go into that program, start adding to the value proposition of why I'm willing to pay 3 to 5%, because it's not just about it's not just a clearinghouse for money. They're doing other things for me. They've taken the invoicing step out of it. They've taken the report step out of it. They've taken my accumulation of tax needs at the end of the year away from it. And they've done one more thing, actually 2 more things. They're introducing small business loan opportunities. So you can actually, if you're into going into debt to finance your business, I don't do that, but that's available to you via PayPal. And then they issue a professional business debit account against your balance. And I don't know there's very many of these on debit side, but there's cash point rewards on a debit card. So if they'll run specials, like if you do more entertaining with meals this month, they'll give you 2% back or 1.5%. But most of the time it's 1% back on the PayPal debit card, which I figure, they're taking 3%, 3.5% out of me, or whatever it is. I'll use the debit card to pay for my business transaction. So I'm able to isolate my business activity away from my personal activity. And anything that I do on my business side, I'm using with that PayPal debit card. And so there are some real practical applications from a small business person who's a one-person shop, who's the face of the company, who's the cleanup guy at the end of the day when the shop closes, who's the accountant, who's the marketing person. Anytime that we can streamline the process, we're saving money and time. And so I think what it comes down to is the type of business you're in, like the Square model that's on your phone. If you're doing point of sale business, I think Square is probably a pretty advantageous, where you can actually swipe the card in front of the customer and then turn your phone over and have them sign it. That's probably pretty advantageous. I think PayPal is developing some of that information. If I'm not aware of it and it is available, someone will probably tell me. But the technology is out there. The other thing that PayPal and the rest of them do is they'll actually develop QR codes, which is cool. I mean, everything is right there. I can sell on social media. I can post an ad. We sell our Promote Clay cards, that we have on social media, and I can put a post up, and you can get a Clay Eats card by hitting the QR code or hit a link. It'll take you right to the PayPal site and purchase your cards, and it's done. So there's under the umbrella of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I hate thinking about parting with that fee, as soon as I do the math and calculate how much would it cost me in time and money to do it the other way around, it's justifiable. We need to have it. And the fact that I can have money instantaneously is a bonus. The one point you made as far as receiving money and waiting 3 days to transfer it or not, if you are moving cash from a business account into your personal account, I always encourage you to not pay the fee. And so that's where it goes back to being financially solvent, so that you're not needing that cash immediately, that you can wait 3 days and then receive it for no cost. But if you got to do it, you got to do it. I think one time I did the math. I was in a situation where I needed, like, it was before the debit card. It was before the PayPal debit card. And I needed like $20 to put in the gas tank. And so I went into my PayPal, this is years ago, PayPal account, and said, I need to move $20 over to my checking account so I can use my card to pay for gas. And, things were tight and things were tough. And I was able to hit, well, I'm going to pay the fee. So I hit the immediate button, and it took whatever the fee was, $20, $18 and change, into my account. But I had it when I needed it. I paid the fee, and I was able to move forward. If you really want to get yourself motivated, annualize that fee. So everyone takes things in small bite-sized pieces, and it's okay. It's only 2.5%, whatever the number is. Well, annualize that. That means take that every month. That's not the business you want to be in. So it gets expensive at that point.
Oh, yeah.
So to wrap it up, it is a feature. It's a technology. It's available to us. I don't know that you can make an argument against the invoice. Even if all things were perfect in your world and you didn't need the cash, this part of your business process, you're going to go ahead and send out invoices and collect and wait on the money. The cost of doing that is not prohibitive, but it's equal to or more than doing this process. Does that help?
Yeah, very much, very much. So it makes me feel a little less anxious about, being charged those fees. It's now seems a little bit more legit.
Well, yeah. The thing that makes it somewhat different, it's kind of like the difference between the individual investor and an institutional investor. As an individual, we were not privy to the merchant relationship, the merchant account relationship, because we weren't retailers. For example, if you were in the retail industry, or you were in an industry where you collected, charge cards, then you were used to paying a fee. The merchant pays a fee to accept an American Express, or some for Discover, it's even more expensive. And there's a cost of that convenience to the merchant, the guy who's actually selling something, you and I. And then the customer doesn't pay a fee. They get to use their card, and that's part of the convenience. So that relationship's been out there for a long time, way before we ever showed up as small business people. Now it's because of technology. It's affordable, not only price affordable, but it's affordable from a technology standpoint that we have access to it. And so it's just wherever you are on that learning curve or exposure to it, you're now exposed to it. And you're like, wait a minute, I got to pay this percentage to get access to my money that I earned. Well, yeah. And you're paying for that convenience along the way. So do it the other way around. Now you have to fight City Hall to get a whole populace of people off the system back to the old school. This is a whole nother podcast talking about digital currency. I'm doing a lot of reading on digital currency and the movement to not Bitcoin per se, that's part of it, but this movement that we're seeing afoot to taking us away from a hard currency, cash is king, to a digital currency. It's another podcast that we'll maybe discuss under the heading of the Small Business Patriot itself. But it's scary as hell, because for those locally here in Northeast Florida, not to bash our buddies over at ViStar, but if you're a ViStar customer, you know firsthand what I'm talking about. Their online banking technology, they're doing some updating, and it's taking longer than they thought. And so far, I think they're handling it pretty professionally, giving updates, I think every other hour. I haven't checked it this morning to see if it's available yet, but we've been offline from our little app application to be able to move money, pay bills, and transfer money back and forth without having to go into the branch. Well, we've been offline for, I want to say, the better part of a week, and the system's not in place. And so I was once again, thank the Lord that I'm in a position where I'm not transferring pennies and nickels every day. But I went in the branch because I had to move some money, and there were people up on the ceiling, trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills. And I've got scheduled withdrawals from my checking account, and I can't move it over from my savings account. And people are just freaking out. And so ViStar has been gracious. I think I heard that they're gonna not charge anybody NSF fees for this time frame, which is nice of them. And then I tell you what scares me, and I don't want to say this word because this is a public communication and someone hears it, but if this goes on for an extended period of time, it's going to get bad, because people will, from a competitive standpoint, they'll say, look, you're not providing me the service of my expectations. I'm going to pull my money out and go to another branch or go to another bank. And I've seen some rumblings on the social media platforms where people are about ready to start talking about that. It's hard to move your banking. And they know this, yes, because everything is so intertwined. All your bills are set up that way, and all your pay from your employers are set up that way. And so for somebody to say, I'm taking all my ball and go into a different sandbox, probably not going to happen. But if you piss off enough people bad enough, they'll figure out a way to do it. And so I'm giving ViStar the benefit of the doubt. But if we move to a full-on digital currency, what we're talking about in the future, and I'll stop here because I don't want to get down this rabbit hole. Digital technology snafus, that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's a problem. Then there's a whole nother government overreach problem too, which we'll get into another discussion. But yeah, this is a fun model to watch. Let's see how ViStar handles it, and let's see how they come out at the end of this, if they're in good favor or not. So far, they've been very professional, and I'll give them credit. I can only imagine the phone calls they're getting from people that are stuck on the ceiling, just screaming at the top of their lungs. So, but they got to fix it. You're not meeting and or exceeding my expectations right now. So get off your tail and fix it. Anyway, all right. Does that get me in trouble? We'll find out. The good news is only 2 people that watch this, and right, besides the 2 of us, there's 4 total. So maybe no one will even know I even said that. Hopefully that's a joke. All right, so we're going to be long again today. So we got about 10 more minutes. All All right. So I'd like to go into a little bit about Northeast Florida Business Alliance. You okay with that?
Yeah, let's do.
Okay. All right. So I did some homework this week. I'm not going to get into all the numbers, and I was trying to put together a value proposition of a menu of things that we do. And so again, as I told you early on in the episode, that Northeast Florida Business Alliance is a second generation of a thing we called Promote Clay. And Promote Clay was a model that I started about 4.5 years ago. And as time, I think it's really been a beta test for me. As time has progressed, we've added some value things to it and added some services, and we've tested a lot of things. I mean, those of us that are members of the group have watched have watched in real time how Dave operates and how we throw things against the wall, and what sticks we keep doing, and if it doesn't stick, we change. And we've had as many as 90 clients as a member of Promote Clay. And we're running somewhere between right at 60 and 70 people right now going through the renewal process. So we've got what I call the original gangsters, the OGs of Promote Clay. And I'm thankful for each one of those folks. But we're ready to move this thing into Duval and St. Johns County as well. And so just to kind of give you a snapshot of the value, the basket of goods and services that we offer. So if you're not aware, we have I have a newsletter that comes out every week, 52 weeks a year, called the Small Business Patriot. And it's an email newsletter. It's concise but packed full of information. It talks about business insights, small business marketing tips. This episode is loaded into the email every week. And then because of this episode, which has really turned out well, Peggy, it stimulates my search for articles. So I'm going to find an article about payment process and different companies that do it. And so it'll expand on my ideas and our conversation and take it to a noteworthy news article, if you will, about the industry. Mm-hmm. And then there's legislative updates. I report from the Republican Subcommittee for Small Business up in Washington, D.C. Blaine Lukenmeyer is the chairperson, the senior ranking member of that committee. He's a congressman from the 3rd District of Missouri, actually, but he's a senior ranking member of the Small Business Owners Committee from the Republican standpoint. And so there's always a note from his desk. And then I do a little section called conservative values, and it's kind of the things that I adhere to and I believe in from a personal standpoint and also business application. And then oftentimes there's some great videos from Prager University in there, or I'll find some other talking points that make sense that I want to share. So it's a very concise, information-packed, easy to read, usually 5 to 7 pieces of information that you could, I say down a toilet read. You can read. It doesn't take long to read it, but it's full of information. It's good. So there's 52 weeks of that comes out every Monday morning at 6 a.m. to your mailbox. And if you don't open it on Monday, you get another shot at it on Thursday via your email. That's called the Small Business Patriot Newsletter. We do some networking in this organization as well. And now that we're going to be in 3 counties, we're going to be doing 2 meetings per month, like a lunch and an after hours event as well. And so in the coming months, we'll be in St. Johns County on Tuesdays. We'll be in Duval County on Wednesdays and Clay County on Thursdays. And there'll be an afternoon meeting, and won't get too far in the weeds on that, but there'll be 2 meetings per month. So theoretically, you could find 6 meetings per month. So we're going to have upwards of 20 to 60 meetings where you can actually be in face-to-face with other folks and other professionals and small business owners throughout Clay, Duval, and St. Johns County. And what we do is we go to other businesses, restaurants in those particular counties, because I believe the mission is to support other businesses. And in doing so, it's a great relationship. So we don't go to a hotel room or to a hotel lobby, pay a fee to go there, and then turn around and charge our clients every time someone shows up. No, we go to a business, bring business with us, order drinks and food and break bread. And we're not only satisfying the need for us to gather, but we're bringing physical business to that location as well. And I think that's highly important. We don't ask them to participate. We don't ask the business owner to give us a break. We order from published menus, and we give them a chance to pitch their specials, whatever it is, and we want to support that local business that we're using as our meeting space. That's critically important for me. The next thing that we do, and that's 20 to 60 meetings throughout the course of the year, depending if you want to take on other counties. We had the Saturday morning coaching call. Peggy and I are sitting here on Saturday mornings at 48 episodes. We typically take off Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and July 4th. I just learned a long time ago, it doesn't make any sense to do that. So 48 episodes of the small Saturday morning coaching call, excuse me. And the cool thing about this program, which we discussed in the opening, is you as a member of the Northeast Florida Business Alliance can come in and be a guest. So Peggy and I have established that she's my sidekick or co-host or our friend and confidant in what we do here. But we want guests that are members of Northeast Florida Business Alliance to be a part of this at no additional charge. It's part of the membership, and it's on a first come first served basis. And so we basically have a discussion about a problem maybe you're having or a success, and you're part of the show, and it becomes a hot link for you to use to plug into your content marketing to push out to your efforts as well. So, and it's on YouTube and Spotify. So that's a pretty cool feature. So we do about 48 of those a year. And what else? Okay, the next thing, for members only, every Monday morning, we're small business people and professionals. Typically, we don't have companies large enough to have a full staff of folks. So every Monday morning at 7:30, Monday morning, it's called the Monday morning coffee or Monday coffee. 48 weeks a year, we're going to hold a kind of a get the week started, kick off the week meeting on Mondays at 7:30 a.m. Zoom call. And so there's going to be 48 of those available, maybe more, but 48 for sure. What is that worth to you to have a bunch of us together to meet via Zoom and get your week started the right way? And then on the end of the week, we'll have a Friday end of the week recap or download or a wind down. I haven't come up with a catchy name yet, but there's 48 weeks of that. So every Friday afternoon, there'll be another Zoom call where we get on the call and you can share successes, share problems, or just commiserate with your fellow small business owners and professionals. And that's open to all members in Clay, Duval, and St. Johns County via Zoom. So a lot of cool stuff that we've been doing. And, it's about promoting other businesses and promoting your businesses and helping you be successful. So Northeast Florida Business Alliance is what we're called. You can go over to LinkedIn. If you're watching us today, go to LinkedIn and look up Northeast Florida Business Alliance. We have a page and a group. Oh, by the way, there's a private member LinkedIn group that you'll be a part of once you become a member. And that gives you all of our members that you can network in with inside the LinkedIn group. You could reach out to someone and say, hey, there's Peggy. She's in the promotional products business. I need a promotional product business. I'm going to reach out to her today and connect with her via LinkedIn. And then we have the LinkedIn page, which is our way of broadcasting upcoming networking events and things that we've got going on. So last thing, social media share. That's the last piece of what we've done. And I'm not a marketing PR advertising company, but members of our group who post into LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, I can't catch every one of them, but we actually take your message and reshare it into my 3,000 people that are in my network, and you're getting more exposure by that social media share. So there's a lot of stuff going on that we've developed over the last 4.5 years, and we're ready to take this to the next level, which is Clay County, Duval County, and St. Johns County. So keep an eye on Northeast Florida Business Alliance. Watch out for what we're doing. June 1, we're going to hit the street and hit it pretty hard. So I'm excited about it, and we're going to hit the ground running. Any thoughts, Peggy?
Yeah, I'm just excited to be a part of the growth, for the Northeast Florida Business Alliance. So this is going to be great.
Okay. Well, I think we'll stop there. I think we're at 10 o'clock. So I know we're not quite a full hour because we started off the hour, but this is another long episode. That means there'll be a station break in the middle of the episode, which is kind of cool. I don't control that, by the way, but it is what it is. All right. Well, I think we've said enough. And Peggy, as always, I thank you so much for your contribution to this programming. It would not happen without you. So be prosperous. Have a great, oh, we're going to get together today, aren't we? At around noon or so. Let's see. Yeah, I got to get moving. So we got to get this up. So we're going to get together and go over to St. Johns County and check out a location for a meeting spot. So I'll give you a call offline in maybe 30 minutes or so, but we'll button that up.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, everybody have a great week. Be prosperous. And as I always say, stay vigilant. God bless you. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.